Hello, kids! Welcome to our English class. This is Teacher Jaira, an English teacher from the Honors Tutorial Center. And for today, we are going to talk about direct and indirect speech. Are you ready? Alright, let us start. So first, I want you to take a look of these comic strips. So in the first picture, we have here two characters. So the boy told to the girl, I will call you tomorrow. So in the second picture, so we have here the girl calling her another friend, and she told her, he said that he would call me the next day. So what do you think, or what did you observe about the difference in the speech between those two pictures? Did you observe something? Alright, very good. Good observation. So in the first picture, you can see that the boy uses the exact words. I will call you tomorrow. So the speaker is the boy. But in the second picture, you can see here that the girl reports or reported what someone said to her. So she called her another friend and she told her what the boy told her. He said that he would call me the next day. Very good. So that is actually connected to the topic that we're going to discuss for today, which is about the direct and indirect speech. So now, let us define first what are the differences of those two speeches. The first one is the direct speech. So from the word itself, direct, so it uses the speaker's exact words, just like in the first picture a while ago. While the indirect speech reports what someone said without using their exact words. So the indirect speech is also known as reported speech since the words or phrases are reported using our own words. Do you understand? Alright, so before we proceed with the different rules to follow in changing the speeches, so I have here an example of a direct speech. Okay, so let me read it first. The teacher says the computer has all the answers to all our questions. So let's identify the parts. So for the direct speech, this one is what we call the introductory or explanatory part. So it includes the speaker, okay, and then a verb which represents what is the action that the speaker did, okay, and then this one inside the quotation marks is what we call the quoted part. In short, this is the exact word of the speaker. In the sentence, this is the exact word of the teacher. Do you understand? Okay, so now let's move on to the rules in changing direct speech to indirect speech. So we have 6 rules to follow. Let's start with the first rule. The first rule is that when the quoted part is declarative, it is transformed into that clause. What do you mean again by declarative sentence? Okay, very good. This is a statement. For example, direct speech. Mr. Florendo says, the computer has all the answers to all our questions. So Mr. Florendo says is the introductory part, and then the computer has all the answers to all our questions is the quoted part. So now, since the quoted part is an example of a declarative sentence, so we're going to transform it into that clause. How do we do that? So here, we have here reported speech. We're going to copy, okay, the introductory part. Mr. Florendo says, and then we're going to remove the comma and then the quotation marks. We're going to add that and then copy the remaining words in the quoted part so that the computer has all the answers to all our questions. Do you get it? Alright, very good. Next. Number 2. When the quoted part is interrogative, it is transformed according to the following. So when we say interrogative, what is the meaning of it? Alright, very good. A question, for example. Okay, so if the quoted part is the question answerable by yes or no, you're going to use if clause or whether clause. But Okay, ayan. For example, James asks, is the computer a thinking machine? So the interrogative here is the computer a thinking machine? So this is answerable by yes or no. So therefore, we can transform it using if and whether clause. For example, James asks, so remove the comma, remove the quotation marks. If, okay, so you're going to add if and then copy the remaining in the sentence. Okay, the computer, and then you need to replace the linking verb here, and you need to make it like an interrogative, a declarative sentence. James asks if the computer is a thinking machine. Next, James asks whether the computer is a thinking machine, or you can also add or not at the end of the sentence. Do you get it? Okay, but what if the interrogative or the coded part is a WH question, which means it could be what, where, when, who, and so on. So what you're going to do is that you will switch the places of the subject and the verb. For example, the direct speech is Jerome asked, what are your plans? So this is an example of WH questions. So what you're going to do, we're going to switch the places. So copy the introductory part, Jerome asked, and then what? Okay, my. Okay, you need to change your into my. Okay, and then copy the noun plans, and then here, as you can see, okay, so the linking verb are will be put at the end of the noun. Jerome asked what my plans are. Do you understand? Okay, next, rule number 3. The verb in the quoted part should be consistent in tense with the verb in the introductory part, which means that, of course, if it is a present tense of the verb in the introductory part, of course, you also need to use a present tense verb in the quoted part. Like, for example, the direct speech is, Jane says, I enjoy computer lessons. So as you can see here in the introductory part, so we have your says, which means that this is in the present tense of the verb. So when you transform it into reported speech, okay, you need to make sure that this is also in the present tense. So you're going to copy the introductory part. Jane says, okay, so since this is a declarative, you're going to use that clause, that. Okay, you need to replace I to she. She enjoys. Okay, because we have here present tense in the introductory part, which is says she enjoys her computer lessons. Okay, so if the present tense in the verb, if the present tense in the introductory part, okay, you also need to use a present perfect tense in the quoted part retains the present tense in the reported speech. Like for example, Mary says, we have tried hard to solve the problem. Okay, so copy. As you can see, the introductory part, it is in the present tense, so just copy it. Mary says, and then that clause, that they have tried hard to solve the problem. As you can see, this is in perfect tense, so still you need to retain it in the reported speech. Have tried. Okay, next. Letter C. But if it is in past tense in the introductory part and the present tense in the quoted part, you need to change from the present tense in the quoted part to the sentence, to past tense. For example, Jimmy said, the orientation program is successful. So you need to follow the introductory part. It is in the past tense of the verb. So it will be, Jimmy said that the orientation program instead of is, so you need to retain it, okay? It will be was, past tense of the verb, was successful. You need to balance the introductory part, the verb that you use in the introductory part, okay, to the quoted part, okay, that you transformed in the sentence. So said, was. Okay, next. For the past tense in the introductory part and the present perfect tense in the introductory part, change the present perfect tense into past perfect tense. For example, Eddie said, the graduate last year have already found good paying jobs. Okay, so here we have here the past tense said, and in the quoted part we have here present perfect tense, have found or have already found. So we need to follow the introductory part. So Eddie said that the graduate last year, we need to change have to past, had already found good paying jobs. Okay? Do you understand? Alright. So what if the reported speech or the direct speech includes the words like will and shall? So when in transforming it into indirect speech or to reported speech, you're going to transform will to would and shall to should. For example, Clinton said, I will take computer science next year. Okay? So since in the introductory part it is in past tense, you need to follow the past tense. So it will be Clinton said that he would, okay, change will to would, take computer science next year. Okay, what if, okay, in the direct speech, we have here the modals can and then may. So you need to change it, can to could and may to might. For example, John said, without man, the computer cannot work. So as you can see here, we have here the past tense of the verb in the introductory part and we need to follow it. So it will be, John said that without man, the computer could not work. So instead of can, we replace it to could. Do you understand? Okay, very good. Next, in our fourth rule, the verb in the quoted part remains present even if the verb in the introductory part is in past tense when the quoted part says or asks for a fact or truth. Okay? Take note of this extension. For example, Clinton said, the computer is a wonder machine. So you need to analyze the sentence. So the quoted part is a fact or a truth. Computer is a wonder machine. And that is true. That is a fact. So then, we cannot change the tense of the verb. Still, it will be, Clinton said that the computer is a wonder machine. Even though the introductory part is in past tense, still, you need to retain the present tense of the verb because it asks for a fact or truth. Next, rule number 5. If the quoted part is imperative sentence, it is changed into an infinitive phrase to make a reported declarative sentence. What do you mean by imperative? Okay, very good. It is a command. So we need to change it into infinitive phrase. For example, for the direct speech, our advisor told us, take short-term computer courses in college for 6 months. As you can see, the quoted part here is an imperative sentence. So now, let's change it into indirect or reported speech. So our advisor told us, so we're going to change it into infinitive phrase. So these are the phrases that starts with to plus the base form of the verb. To take short-term computer courses in college for 6 months. So just copy the remaining words in the quoted part. Do you understand? Okay, and for our last rule, the pronouns in the quoted part are replaced accordingly. So take note of this. The first, okay, you with I or we if it is used as a subject. Okay, like for example, Jamie asks, what course do you take up in college? So in the quoted part, we have here the pronoun you. So we need to change it into I or we. So it will be, Jamie asks, what course I take up in college. Next, if there's a pronoun you, okay, with me or us, if it is used as an object. So if it's used as an object in the sentence, okay, so you need to transform it to me or us. Like for example, Tom asks, what inspires you in your studies? Okay, so we have here the pronoun you and we need to change it to me or us. So here we have only Tom as our subject. It would be, Tom asks, what inspires me in my studies? Okay, and then we have here me. So you may replace this with her and him into the reported speech. For example, Melly asks, why have you forsaken me? Okay, so you need to change me to her and him. So since Melly is a girl, you're going to use her. Melly asks, why I, okay, change you to I have forsaken her. Change me to her. Do you still follow? Okay, very good. So aside from that, so here are the following list of the time and place in the reported speech, okay, that you may also consider. Like for example, there is the verb now in the direct speech. So when you're going to transform it into reported speech, it will be then. Today, it will be that day. Here, it will be there. This, that, okay? If you use the tomorrow, it would be the following day, the next day, or the day after. If it's next week, again, you may use the following week, the next week, and then the week after. If you use yesterday in your direct speech, you may use the previous day or the day before. If you use last week, you may use the previous week and the week before. Okay? Next, if it's ago, you may use previously or before. Last one, if you use the direct speech, the word tonight, okay, when you transform it, it will be that night. Do you get it? Alright, very good. And that's all for our rules in changing the direct speech into indirect speech. So that's all. Again, this is Teacher Tyre from the Honors Tutorial Center. Goodbye and see you in our next video.